with you. Like, I had been using the products, had been loving the products, but every time my best friend, she's my best friend now. Back then she was just my sponsor, but every time she would bring up sharing, I would be like, "There's no way I can do this." Like, I talk to 9-year-olds all day. I don't have any network. I've never sold anything to anybody. Plus, I had all this fear that, as an educator, you kind of get a certain amount of just kind of credibility or respect or whatever. Either most of the time they love you. Those that don't love us, well, I mean, it is what it is. But I was afraid I would burn that. Like, well, what if I lost my credibility among my peers? I had all these fears. But it did not take me long teaching to realize that it didn't matter how hard I taught or how creative I was. I was capped out at what I could earn by the state of Georgia. I did go get 2 graduate degrees so that I could earn a little bit more. But it wasn't going to be enough for me to afford to put 2 children in daycare. I also have the 2 older ones. So my interest was piqued, to say the least. I'm definitely into wellness, I'm into fitness. So this kind of aligned with what I already find to be important. And so I just decided, you know what? Other people are being successful. And so I knew enough to know that I could be a learner. And I knew that if I could learn some skills, that I would figure it out. I knew that I didn't have any quit in me. And all of a sudden, our family's financial needs felt much bigger than my fear of what other people would think. So I did decide to jump in. I started learning some skills of how to authentically share Plexus with others. I learned how to authentically follow up in a way that felt them focused. And I mean, I've learned so much over the last 6.5 years. About 3.5 or 4 years into building this, I was actually able to leave the classroom. So now I'm at home with all of my kids, able to kind of be everything for everybody, but still getting to scratch the itch to teach by, leading my team and helping my people hit all of their goals. So I now earn, and this is not to brag at all, Miss Tony, because, as teachers, I never set out to be wealthy. Like, it never has been a desire of my heart ever. But what I've learned over the last several years is that when God's people have a good abundance of finances, they're able to do a lot of good kingdom work. And so, it's been life-changing for us. I now make in 1 month what I would have had to teach for over 6 months to earn. And like I said, for our family, just the experiences that we get to have, the peace that we get to have because of that income, and then just the giving, the amount of money that we can give and bless other people with has been tremendous. So that's a lot in one blast. But tell me kind of what has you more open now to an opportunity than maybe over the last year?
Well, and it's not that I didn't tell people about it, I just didn't get anywhere with it, I guess.
Okay.
But I feel like it's done good things for me. I do feel better. However, I'm really actually hitting retirement age.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, and I see no hope to retire. Because I know that, I work an 8-to-5 job,
mm-hmm.
and I'm an accountant. So, okay, it's work intensive,
mm-hmm.
and I get paid fairly well.
Sure.
But with inflation going up and everything, and it's just a struggle.
Yes, ma'am.
So financially, I need to find a second income. And I've been thinking about it for months. I just wasn't sure what I could do because actually when I get off work, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I don't really feel like punching a clock somewhere and standing on my feet and trying to work another 4 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's necessary. Here's the thing. If you go work somewhere else, doing something that you've never done before, there's going to be a massive learning curve. But it doesn't mean that you can't learn it. So same thing with Plexus. If you decide, you know what, I want to kind of dig in here and I want to figure out how are these girls getting results different than what I'm getting, and what skills do I need to learn in order to get them? If network marketing
was a college class, Miss Tony, it would be the easiest class. And I know that you're probably over there thinking, well, that's what you say because you're under 40, or that's what you say because you're already successful. But I'm telling you, I help people just like you who are brand new, and they also want to build a significant income. So this isn't something that was just kind of happenstance, like, oh, okay, well, she was successful and that's good for her. But this is something that anybody who decides to endeavor in the learning part of this, they can be successful. The only way to not be successful is to just not see it through. So what is it that you think, like, if I was just more of this, or if I just had this trait or whatever, I could probably do this? Like, what is that, the root behind what you're really believing about you and your ability to be successful here, you think? Well, I'm not sure. I don't feel that I would present as well as, say, Jessa does. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like it's evident that I've been taking this for a year. And I have lost weight, and then I'll plateau and I won't lose any. But I still have a good bit to lose. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that might hinder me. Okay, so let me speak to that real fast, and then we'll hit to the next one. So what the root of that is actually comparison. Like, well, if I just had more of what Jessa has, or if my story was obvious like Jessa. But here's what I will tell you. You're not trying to talk to the same people that Jessa is trying to talk to. Miss Tony, you're going to be talking to the people who have been in the very similar situation that you're in. And you are going to be the person that they're able to relate with. Some of your people that you're going to meet, or some of the people that you already know, they're not going to find Jessa as relatable as they're going to find you. Because what people are looking for is not and Jessa, no offense, they're not looking for like a blonde bombshell who is, so teeny tiny and petite, because they can't see themselves as that. But they can see themselves as someone who's nearing retirement age, who values their health, who prioritizes wellness, and who is trying to just make better choices every day. That's something that they can see themselves being too. And you're telling that story. Right. Does that make sense? Oh, it absolutely does. And I'll tell you this. People love to go on a journey with someone that they find relatable. So if you decide to start doing this, you're gonna find who you're trying to talk to, and then you're gonna tell your story. Like, it's just a matter of being willing to be vulnerable, let people know, how you used to feel versus how you feel now. A lot of what people struggle with is not physically obvious. So if you're saying Plexus is helping me in these areas, even if you can't, outwardly see a big difference, guess what? People are praying for relief from things that we don't even outwardly know they struggle with, like IBS or constipation or bloating or migraines or allergy. Like, there's so much more besides weight that Plexus can help. And people are praying for natural options, and you could be the person who they're actually willing to listen to. Because I can tell you this, sometimes people who are in your same boat, when we talk about health and wellness, they can't relate to what we're saying, because for them, we feel so far removed. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, well, that doesn't speak to them. But if it was somebody your age, somebody in your demographic, somebody with your experience, and you're talking to someone who's similar, all of a sudden, they're like, well, if this is for Tony, like, it could probably be for me. And so at that point, it becomes a matter of willingness to follow up. So when you say, I've not ever gotten anybody, I would venture to say that it is probably just because there's not been a lot of follow-up, which is normal, because if you're struggling with trying to decide whether or not you want to do this, the whole following up thing, that wouldn't make sense. But we know statistically, most people need 8 to 12 follow-ups. Now, not everybody. Some people are going to be ready to go as soon as you mention it. But a lot of people, they just need that follow-up. And it might take a year of just lovingly checking back in, sharing testimonies, building their belief, things like that. But here's what I'll tell you.
they always join. They always join. I've been doing this 7 years now. The people who are the most cold, the biggest no's, I'm not going to ever do it, they always join. It's just a matter of being willing to continue to lovingly serve by sharing what might be relatable for them.
Okay.
So I think what's really important also, Miss Tony, is to realize, like, if you decide to build something like this, it's going to feel like in the beginning, man, I'm putting forth some effort and I'm not reaping the income I want to see yet. But then what will happen, and it can happen very quickly, is you're going to be like, man, I'm sure getting benefits from work that I'm not even having to do anymore. For instance, Jessa is on my team. She's been on my team for, I guess, almost 2 years now, I guess.
Yep.
And you joined Jessa. So I didn't have to know you. I didn't have to talk to you. I didn't do any work, but yet I'm benefiting because you're here. You're a part of our team. And so in the beginning, when you're learning how to reach out and you're going to have to do a lot of, hey, Jessa, what do I say next? Hey, Jessa, they said this. How do I respond? But you can literally be earning money while you learn the skill set. And Jessa is a rock solid leader. She's a rock solid leader, and she can help you kind of take people who are a little skeptical or a little uneducated on Plexus, and she can show you how to get them to being open and then eventually ready to join. So you couldn't have picked a better leader. And then as far as our team, I mean, this is one of the fastest growing teams in the company. So we've got all kinds of resources that you can use. And then I know that you told Jessa that you thought maybe your age was going to hold you back. And I've got a whole list of girls who are at my same level. They're all diamonds, and they are your age or older. So your age is not going to have to be something that holds you back, because everybody needs what we have, regardless of age. More so, even. I mean, as you're nearing retirement age, that's kind of when you've got to start being proactive. And so you're doing that. And I guarantee you, other people that you will meet, they need to do that too.
Right. Well, Jessa and I went through real estate school. We worked at the same company, different offices, and we went through real estate school together. And that girl is organized.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
We just had the best time.
Well, she's going to be a huge asset for you. And the cool thing is you can be as organized as you want to be. I'm not as organized as Jessa, but I have a paper planner. And what I do is, if I have a conversation, like if I say, okay, Tuesday, I'm going to reach out to these 5 people, I just write their name down. That way I know, okay, I reached out to them on this day. I probably need to follow up in 1 week. And then I'll just write their name on the next day that I'm supposed to follow up. So that's kind of how I organize myself. It's how Jessa organized herself in the very beginning. So the main thing would just be, obviously watch that Getting Started video, because it's going to be full of just the vision and belief, plus kind of some practical, what do I do next? And basically, there's a couple ways that you make money with Plexus. You talk to new people about Plexus, and you follow up with people that you've already talked to. Like those things are it. And you may find that a lot of your conversations are on the phone or in person. You may find that you like sending messages. So you'll just have to figure out what feels most like Tony, and then do that.
Okay.
So tell me, how much money would you like to see yourself consistently earning that would kind of take some of that burden that you're feeling off?
Well, I mean, at this point, even $1,000 a month would be huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it would take a lot more than that for me to replace my earnings.
Sure.
And I do like what I do, but I wouldn't mind having the opportunity in a couple of years to work part-time.
Absolutely. And that is absolutely manageable. Listen, getting to $1,000 a month, you can do that in a matter of a couple months. Realistically, you could build to that level in a couple months. I have had people who have built there in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, etc. And the cool thing is on the way to $1,000 a month, you're at 600 and 800, and so you could start noticing reprieve. But as far as being able to go to part-time hours within a couple of years, there's no reason that you can't do that. Somebody's going to build this. Like, you're going to look around and continue to see people being successful at this. It might as well be you. If you have gone to school for real estate and now you're an accountant, you obviously are smart, Tony. You obviously know how to learn, and you're obviously willing to engage in a learning process. So this is no different.
Right.
It's just a matter of making a decision. Like, you know what? Come heck or high water, I'm going to figure this out. And then being willing to figure it out, ask good questions. Jessica and I will end up putting probably all three of us in a group chat, but just being willing to be vulnerable and say, hey, I said this to somebody today and, it didn't get the response I thought it would get. Can y'all give me some feedback? Like, what should I have said instead? That's like some of the best questions you can ask, because it's going to allow us to say, actually, you were on the right track. It's probably not you. It's probably a timing issue. Or, you know what? Yeah, when you said that, maybe next time try this. But I mean, when I tell you that you can do this, like I said a minute ago, somebody's going to. Somebody's going to build this, and they're going to be telling every single person that you know about this, and they're going to be willing to follow up, and then they're going to be the ones who get that paycheck. And I am telling you, if this is something that you decide you want to do, I want to help that paycheck be yours.
Yes. I do too.
Well, I'm excited. You sound like you're going to fit right in, which is fantastic. How long have you been an accountant?
Oh, most of my life.
Wow.
I had 2 children and went back to school when my youngest was 9 and got my degree, but I was already working in the accounting field. I just got the degree. And I was working on my CPA, my master's for my CPA degree. Mm-hmm. And you have to sit for the test, but they changed the rules the year I graduated my 4-year degree, and you had to have 5 years of college to sit for the exam. So I started that process. I was halfway through, and my mother had a stroke and got really sick, and then she went to nursing. It was just bad. Everything just went kind of crazy. And I drove back and forth to Rome from Middle Georgia, where Jessa lives. Mm-hmm. Well, did live. For 3 years, trying to help take care of Mom, even though she was in a nursing home. Mm-hmm. And I never went back, and I felt bad that I didn't go back, but I just got to a point where I just was run down. Sure. It just wasn't as important to get the CPA thing. I had a job. I'd always had jobs, so I just didn't get the CPA thing. Got it. Yeah, well, this is something that can be yours. You spent your whole life raising your kids, taking care of your mama, just doing what's expected and being gracious of yourself. And this is something you can build for you, something where you get to take part in personal growth and reading books about learning and leadership. And you bring so much wisdom and just life experience to the table. There's absolutely a place for you here, for sure. We're open and eager, and we learn just as much as we teach. So I'm excited for you to get to be a part of this. I am too. I did have a question. Like, when you say, okay, you get 3 people. I started watching the video, but I haven't been able to finish it yet. Mm-hmm. So your first goal is to get 3 people, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And once you get 3 people buying the products, not necessarily working the business, but buying the products, then that's where your income comes in. So that's when you hit your first rank of silver. And yeah, absolutely. You'll get your first bonus. You'll get, as long as they're ordering every month, you'll get a commission on their order. Absolutely. And like you said, they don't necessarily have to be open to sharing, although I always tell people, mention the opportunity. I always ask people, hey, listen, if you loved these products, would you be open to sharing with people? Because if they say, yeah, I'd be open, it indicates to me that there's a need in their life. And I know
that our products are fantastic, but I also know that this business opportunity is what has transformed my life. And I also believe more people go to bed worried about finances than they do their health. So I always offer the opportunity. Always. But no, they don't have to start sharing right away. They can do exactly like you've done. They can order their products and just be a happy product user.
Right.
Totally fine. And you'll learn a lot about just the little ins and outs with that getting started video. But as you're watching, jot down any of these questions that you're like, hey, what do you mean about this? Or I need further clarification on this, because I have other, like a video or a breakdown of a document or something like that I'll be able to say, oh, that's a good question. Here's this for future reference. So as you're watching that video tonight and tomorrow or whenever, just jot down these questions, because we'll be able to hit on all of them.
So now that you do this full time, right? I know it's not okay. So when they pay you, how do taxes get paid?
Great question. We're a 1099. So
okay.
Yep, 1099.
So on a personal level, just general though.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do like quarterly payments?
That's a great question. I did not until I hit what's called Emerald. Emerald is our 6-figure income. I hit that 4 years in. Like I said, I was building the whole time, working full time as a teacher. So 4 years in, I've had girls on my team hit it much faster. Had one girl who hit it in 2 years, one girl who hit it in 3 months. But when I hit that 6-figure income mark, that's when I started paying quarterly taxes. And then when I hit Diamond, I actually pay monthly now, because I don't like getting stuck with that really giant bill at the end of the year. So I actually pay.
And what do you find the percent? And you pay Social Security and everything, I'm sure. But
so
you got that out pretty quick, because you only have to put in so much a year.
Right. And this is where I'll probably drive your accounting brain nuts, but I have no idea. I have an accountant in Michigan. He takes care of all of our Michigan diamonds up there. So when I went diamond, I just networked with him, and we Zoom with him every few months, and he kind of takes and does whatever he's supposed to be doing. I just told him when I met him a couple years ago, I'm like, listen, here's what, my husband also works full time, but I'm like, here's what we need. Here's what I don't want. I don't want a big tax bill. I don't want this. I don't want that. Other than that, you just put the money where, it's somebody that I trust. So I don't really know the percentage, but that's a good question I could ask.
Okay, good deal. Well, I knew that it had to be paid somewhere, and I sort of thought it was 1099 income.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right this second, that's probably all I've got.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, she's going to put us in a chat. Jot down thoughts as you're watching that video, and we're just going to continue this conversation.
That sounds wonderful.
Well, it was very nice to meet you, Miss Tony, and I'm excited to see what you build here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate any and all help.
Yes, ma'am. We'll see.
Awesome. I will get you in that chat soon, Miss Tony.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. You have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye-bye.